Boys and girls, we're going to be touching one of the forbidden screens. That's right, because it's the end of FM23. I'm finally allowed to play around with hidden attributes and editor things that I've kept my sticky little fingers off of all year. We did it on stream after we finished recording the LOLLUJO Cup and went through all the teams that were in there, had a look at the current abilities and potential abilities of most of the players that we managed this year. If you're intrigued about who the best player I managed in FM23 is, and I'll tell you now, I was surprised when I saw which one it is, and this is the video for you. So we'll start with this squad. So this was these are all real life players. This is the Chelsea beta squad. I mean, has there ever been a better name for Chelsea? The beta squad. So Kai Havertz, the best player in that Chelsea team, which is why Arsenal signed him, because he's that good. Good old Kai Havertz. Camavinga right up there as well. Musiala. How did this team not even make it to the semi-final? Goodness me. What a good team. Look at Bellingham. Bellingham capped at 164 potential. That isn't going to be the case on FM24, is it? Goodness me. Seeing Bellingham capped. I think Bellingham had a variable potential ability, so we've got a few different versions of Bellingham in this competition. I suspect it will be a different potential ability on each of them. I'd be very surprised if he was hard-coded with 164 potential ability. Highest potential ability was between Camavinga, Musiala, Havertz, Fofana, who didn't get anywhere near it, and Raheem Sterling, who presumably was on his way back down from it. But that was Chelsea. Can we just go? Oh, here we go. Home. Oh, bless them. Bless home. The goalkeeper was our best player at home, Rodrigo. Bernal, Diop, these were loans, weren't they? Rabiot, 109, and that was Alex Boxall, wasn't it? 107. So the two homegrown boys were pretty much our best players that we actually owned. If we look at potential ability, again, a lot of these are loanees, so we can ignore all of them. The one true Ivan had the highest potential of any player who came for our youth team. That's Ivan Mutt. That guy, you can't see on here, doesn't it? But we know from his position that was Ivan Mutt. Ivan Mutt with the potential ability of 134. Maybe we should have moved Fakal on earlier and really gone all in on the one true Ivan. And then you've got Zafra with decent potential as well. Martinez Perez. We did some good signings. The other Ivan. And then you've got Rabiot. Alex is in there as well. This was a decent home team. That's very cool. I approve of that. It's a shame the name in the game stuff hasn't come over, so we can't work out exactly who's who. I mean, this is part of the problem we had in that final season. Joffrey, who was still a starting centre-back for us, only 96 on his current ability. Joffrey needed to be moved on. He was around for too long, clearly. And then Juventus. So, Bilger, 182 current ability, 188 potential ability. The fact he's already at 182 current ability, age 20, is absolute insanity. He wasn't going to get much better, but he's only 20 years old and was already one of the top players in the world. Amgar as well. I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, goodness me. We were always so resistant to play him because he didn't really have a position. He's a left back with 8 tackling or a striker with 9 finishing. I mean, what do you do with him? What is he for? He's really, really, really good. Apart from the key things that he needed to be good at in any of his positions. Agostini, we knew was good. This version of Alonso dos Santos, maxed out at 166. Some pretty good players in here. And then that was sorted by potential. Mansour, the stick we just gave Junior Mansour. I mean, I know he didn't fulfill it, but 194 potential for Mansour. Boatini, 188. I mean, some of these guys, Taglioli, these are players that I signed over and over again. Boatini, Taglioli, I had both of them at Barcelona as well. So they kept coming up because that's why they were coming up on the scout report so much, because the potential was so high. They would just never fulfilled it. They were just never good enough. I don't remember Helmut Isela at all, or Genkinger. Agostini. It surprises me the amount of money we paid for the three of them respectively, because we had all three of them at Barcelona as well, Boatini, Taglioli, Agostini. The fact Agostini is the lowest potential by miles of the three of them is interesting. Gervasio, better than I thought he was. And then Liverpool. Oh, hello. I mean, we'll sort by potential ability in a moment. So, Amaro Jallo, ironically, is the reason why Borges didn't play constantly, because Jallo and him played in the same position. If you remember, actually, when we went to Liverpool, we wanted to bring in Bilger, couldn't get him, so went and got this guy as an alternative. And he's already current ability the same as Bilger's, with an incredible potential ability. I don't know that I've ever seen 199 potential ability before. Only 5'4" as well. But him and Jallo both playing in the same role. There are some good right wingers who can play up front in this universe. These two and Bilger, absolutely bonkers. But if we have a look at who else was good. There you go, a different variant of Jude Bellingham. This one with 179 potential, so he definitely had a variable potential. Aspas, 172, is higher than I would have expected him to be. Zelmar Blanco, only 171 potential. But to be fair, bringing him in at Preston as an 18-year-old, I think that probably justifies playing him as an 18-year-old in Preston. Yeah, Corgi. Did I sign Corgi, or was he just here? I feel like Corgi was already at Liverpool, so I don't really take credit for him. Yeah, Sen is lower than I thought he would have been as well. Manchester City. So this was from Saving Man City. So there should be some real dross in here. There you go. Caballero, who we signed that promotion season in the Premier League. We all knew he was going to be the best player. I tell you what, I'm quite surprised at how good Liam Delap is. I wouldn't have put my... Oh, and Stolazic, the two of them. I'm a little bit surprised at how high both of them are. It shows how good that starting team we had with Man City was, because players who we had at the start, Delap, Burns, McAtee, Mbete. Okay, there's not many of them still here, but yeah, that's there's some crazy potentials there for a team that was in non-league. Finn Back, I'm a little bit upset to see how low his is, because we spent a lot of money on him. Ricky J. Jones with 137 potential ability. There is not a chance he's going to have potential like that on FM24, because he's like 21 in real life now and is just not fulfilling the potential at all. He plays fairly regularly now, and he is not. 137 is like Premier League level. Penabont! See, I don't remember most of these players. The fact we've got players in the squad with potential ability of 30 and 153 is bonkers. He must have been alone. I don't even remember this guy. Conrad Dysart. Does anyone remember Conrad Dysart? Darren Needs? I feel like he would have been a Adam Fell kind of player. I think we signed a lot of players just as we were leaving Penabont. I think we joined Servette quite late. So some of these are players that I just don't remember. Peterborough United Football Club. Best player, Diogo Costa, is a bit of a surprise. They've just won this tournament with nobody over 174 current ability, which I think is incredible. The thing is, there's a lot of players above 160. And then these potentials. I mean, this is the kind of save. Do you remember me telling you that years ago I was banned from the Sports Interactive forums because I was in the llamas section, the LLM forum, and I basically blogged a save and won the Champions League like 3 years in a row with Peterborough, and eventually got called out for cheating and not following LLM rules. They were like, there's no way you can get all of these players and win like that playing by our rules just using scouts. And to prove that I wasn't cheating, I sent the save file to one of the mods, and he went through it with the editor and was like, I've just checked, and you had like 5 players over 190 potential ability. You had 8 of the 10 best under 21 players in the world. I was like, yeah, but I got them legitimately through scouting. Here is your proof. SI forum mods from 15 years ago. Because I did all of this, like every second of this was live. And yeah, we got these just through our scouts. Herculano, 194 potential. Silas, 194 potential. Disabato, who we didn't even play, 187 potential. Through scouts. Okay, we knew about Hendrick. He wasn't through scouts. But these ones absolutely were through the scouts. You can do it. I didn't cheat. You're monsters. Ventosa being that high is quite surprising. Crammond and Hendrick, superb. But if this save had got, I mean, even though they're 23, 24, if this save went on for another 2 years, Crammond and Hendrick don't even make it onto the bench. You're starting Herculano and Silas, and Disabato's coming off the bench, and Hendrick and Crammond are just not good enough. But it does show just how powerful using just the scouts in game can be. You can get players like that. When I do video, I did a video last year how I find wonder kids in FM23 or words to that effect, and there were several comments like, "This is just using the in-game scouts. There's nothing special about this." No, there doesn't need to be anything special about this. This is how you find wonder kids. Just listen to the scouts. I didn't even send scouts specifically to Brazil. The fact that he's Brazilian and he's Brazilian, he's Italian. I mean, he's got 11 goals from 14 caps for Italy and doesn't even get on the bench. How good was this team? Gatford, thank you for 17 months. Big E, loads of potential. Tarek, we always knew was good. This is a great team. A really, really good team. Poor old Gavi, look. He's maxed out his potential at 161, but he's well down the list. Adam Fells match. I hope he's all right. He's maxed his potential out at 158, as has Hansen Aaron. Good, good, good team. And then poor old Peterborough Sports. Bless him. I tell you what, some of these potentials are pretty good for Peterborough Sports level. I discovered... I mean, they say his name properly on the radio. I heard him. I was listening to TalkSport on the way to one of the FA Cup games, and he played for Liverpool. I don't think they say Kwanzaa like I was saying. I can't remember how they were saying it. When they announced him, they're like making his first start for Liverpool. I didn't recognise the name until they said his first name later on. I was like, hang on. I know that name. Luke made a comment in his last video. I just used the scouts in this save. Why doesn't everyone just do this? And it's literally all you need to do. Just use the scouts. It's all I ever do. Other Peterborough Sports, still with Max McKnight. Early. I tell you what, signing him as early as I did with that potential, how did he develop over the couple of years we were there? Where is he now? 83. He didn't develop at all. Oh, my word. So we signed him with 124 potential, aged 83. Aged 83, current ability 83, aged 18, 124 potential. Looks like a great signing. And then 3 years later, there he is, 21, current ability 83. He did not improve even one attribute point in 3 years. I guess facilities are quite important. Don't bother signing youngsters in non-league, boys and girls. There's no point. They don't develop. There's absolutely no point signing good young players in non-league. You may as well just go for current ability because they don't improve at all. I mean, he was the best player. Current ability-wise, when he first signed, he was the best player at the club, aged 18. 3 years later, he's well down the list. Not even the best right back at the club because he's not improved at all in 3 years. And then Preston, as you would expect, Ignacio Reyes, best player. Ulysses de Klerk, I tell you what, de Klerk only having 165 potential is a surprise. And Valente only having 154 potential is another surprise. I thought they were both much better than that. Much better than that. Braddock, 174 is really good. We knew he was a good young player. Just weren't really here long enough to use him. Sartori, he went on and played like 10 years at Preston. He was always there throughout the save. How come Rabiu improved so much? Is Spain different? We don't know that he did improve. Maybe Rabiu came through already with that current ability. Rojas with good potential. I'm so surprised at de Klerk. And even more so, Valente, I spent 100 million on more than once, I think, for a player with 154 potential. Sometimes I get the favourites and just sign them regardless. Russell Ross with only 142 seems low as well, but I guess his potential's low, but actually when he came in, because he signed for us when we were in the Championship, he would have been outstanding when he first signed at 142, and the rest of the club's just grown beyond him, which is a bit of a shame, but there's nothing he could do about it. He was already maxed out. Another one who maxed out his potential very, very young. And Leipzig, I don't really care about. We managed them for a day. Emil Smith-Rowe, best player, seems about right. Marcus Leonardo's always good. Oh, God, this was when we had the random youngsters in, I remember. Because we had that database mod on. So we've got Essien, Yakubu, Mota. Did we get any more? And none of them have potential like Marcos Leonardo or Caicedo. I'm surprised Yakubu's potential is that high. And his current ability being that high, 18 years old. Are you sure? The guy played for Portsmouth. Come on now. That seems ambitious. Gvardiol there with only 153 potential. He's another one who must have had a variable potential because I'm sure. Who else did we have Gvardiol at? And he had higher than 153. Where else did we sign Gvardiol? Don't remember where else we had him. Chelsea, maybe? Is he here somewhere? Yeah. So 179 in that version. So right back at the start of the beta, he had a potential of 179 with Chelsea. But then, so it's obviously is a variable one. Because then later in the year at Leipzig, and there's no way they've hard-coded and reduced his potential as the year has gone on. So that version of him was wherever it was. Can't even find him. Way down here, 153. And then I think we had him for Spurs as well. Here. So this version of him is 157. So maybe they did downgrade him as the year went on, because the two later versions of him weren't as good as the beta version. I bet he's had a bump up now he's signed for Man City. Right, Servette. Hannibal, best player at the club. Better than Big Willie. Better than Ollie Watkins. And potential. I mean, Hannibal. I mean, again, are you sure? Big Willie, justifying all the money we spent on him. I approve. Tell you what, ACOS is not bad. 133, 140. All those times we tried to replace ACOS, we never needed to. He was one of the best players at the club. And then Sporting, I mean, there should be some high potentials here. Where's Mendes? Mendes, 175 potential. Feels lower than I would have thought. But then we replaced him, didn't we? I mean, when he left, we replaced him with Undongale, who had the same potential. So to have those two come through pretty much in consecutive youth teams. I mean, bearing in mind, most of these are homegrown as well. So we say the potentials aren't that high, but I think we'd all accept a youth setup that gets you 2 or 3 players with 160 plus potential every year. Absolutely bonkers. And then Tottenham. Who the hell is he? Does anyone remember Marcus Vallejo? Brindley with 190. I suspected Brindley's would be high because Brindley was a superstar. Like I say, he went on to play over 100 games for England over the course of non-league to legend. So Brindley was definitely a superstar. The fact that those two are both left backs is bonkers. I mean, in reality, I guess he never developed because he's 2 years older. His current ability's lower. Brindley's already got that spot. So I imagine if we were to go back into the non-league to legend file, we'd probably look at a career that never really went anywhere for Vallejo. Another good left back as well. Again, I don't know who Komi Isifu is. So many different versions of Bazunu. This one's 168. Ismail Sen, only 158. It's very sad. Calvin Phillips at Spurs. Goodness me. Yeah, that is a surprise. And then the world record Spurs team. The highest potential we had in the whole squad was 175 for Jurrien Timber. It was actually one of the best players as well. So Costa, again, the second team Diogo Costa's been the best player for. So we spent all that money on Jude Bellingham and we got a dud, only 167. Hideous. It was a very well-developed Spurs team, though, because Costa's maxed out, Timber's close, Kulusevski's maxed out, Bellingham's maxed out. Son presumably is on his way back down at 33 years old. Silva at 21 is close to maxed out. Mendy's close to maxed out. Gvardiol is. That's the difference between good facilities and bad facilities, I guess. Evan Ferguson, 162 potential, but already at 154 current ability at 20 years old. I bet he was pretty close to that at 17, 18 years old as well. But surprising to see how low his potential was when we saw how good he was. It shows that a lot of the time, this is why when you see people cheating and using the editor to do their scouting, it really isn't all about these numbers, because I would rather have Evan Ferguson than that Vallejo guy every single time, because Evan Ferguson ruins the match engine. Vallejo, we don't remember. But Vallejo's got 35 more points on his potential ability than Ferguson has. It's not all about these numbers, boys and girls. Attributes don't mean anything. Sometimes it's just about how well they play in the match engine. And I would pay 100 million for that version of Evan Ferguson every single time. Every single time. I mean, we did pay nearly 100 million for James Maddison, and we paid over 100 million for Timber, over 100 million for Bellingham. It was a very expensively put together team. And when you actually compare those current abilities with the Peterborough side, the Posh side is better. I mean, who's the 10th best player? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th best player, 156. If we go to Posh, 10th best player on current ability. That's the wrong posh. That's not posh. 10th best player, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 161. So that's why posh have won, because there's, what's that, 20 players who are good enough to be regular first team start, 18 players who are good enough to start regularly at Champions League level. And that's it, I think. Oh no, Barcelona. Forgot about Barcelona. Boatini again. Better potential than Young. That is a good Gavi. Compare him to the Gavi we had at Posh. So at Posh we had, where is he? 161 Gavi maxed out at for Posh. And that Barcelona vintage, 181, and he's maxed out. Actual best players, Gavi, obviously. Gavi, Pedri, Baldi. It's really interesting. We joined that team like 10 years into the save, and the 3 best players at the club, even when we left, were 3 players who they'd had since they were teenagers. And then some others that I spent an absolute fortune on. I would have thought Osmani was better than that. We spent a lot of money on him, I remember. Brandenburger we were chasing forever as well, if I recall. I don't think we've looked at Juventus yet to see Bilger, or have we? Did we? Maybe we did. We must have done. Yeah, Juventus we saw early on. So Bilger, 188. So not quite as good as the guy at Liverpool. So it's the Liverpool kid. Thiago Borges is the best player the best new gen that I signed on FM23. He was my reserve winger. He was a player we didn't really need when we arrived because we already had Jallo. He plays in that Liverpool team for another 2 years. If we'd have signed him, we signed Bilger at 18 and played him week in, week out. If we'd have signed Borges for a top club at 18, he'd be the best player in history. I guess the problem is we signed him a little bit later for a better team and he had to fight for his place. Whereas Bilger was at a rotten Juventus team and was just able to come straight in at 18 years old and be a nailed-on starter from 18 years old. So although his ceiling was lower, he got a lot closer to it a lot faster. 182 at 20 years old is still madness. I don't know if I've ever seen a player that young, that good before. That is bonkers.